Now that we have a completed scene, let's add a camera to it. So to add a camera, down in our timeline, we click and hold on this plus button and select camera, and it'll add it to the bottom of our timeline. So you can see the outline of it if we select it, but if I use my advanced animation tools and try to move it around, I can't move it. To animate a camera and to move it around, we need to add a peg to it. So I'll select my camera and then click my peg button, and now we have a camera peg. So now I can add keyframes to my camera, and I can use the advanced animation tools to pan it around, rotate it, and I can use scale to zoom in and out. Make sure to hold shift so it keeps the same aspect ratio. I can also use my transform tool to move my camera around or scale it. Or if I so choose, I can even skew my camera. So it's pretty powerful, and super easy to use too. But there's even more we can do with this camera. So now that we have our camera with a peg on it, let's create a bit of a parallax effect and create sort of a 3D scene out of this. So to create a 3D scene, we need a different perspective of this scene. So I'm going to go up to Windows, and I'm going to select Top. So this window provides us a top-down view of our scene. So right now it's a flat scene, and you can see our scene right here in the middle here. And then this triangle represents our camera. So if I select my camera peg and get my transform tool, and then go into my top view, I can see this Z axis to push in and out. So this looks similar to scaling, but it's actually different. So if I were to undo that and select my scale tool instead and scale my camera, you can see instead of pushing in and out, it's actually adjusting the zoom of it. So it's kind of the equivalent of using the zoom on a camera. It's not pushing closer in, it's just making what it sees larger. So we want to make sure to use our push in to create this 3D effect. And the next thing we want to do is move our scene so that the bushes are closer to the camera than the scene in the background. So to do that, I can select my foreground peg and move it closer to the camera. But you'll see it's scaling up, and if I move it past my scene, it disappears because it's behind the scene. And I'm also creating a keyframe down here. So I don't want to animate this moving anywhere, I just want to move it permanently. So I'm going to turn off my animate button, and you'll see it turns red, indicating that the changes I make are not being recorded or animated. And instead of using our position tool to move it closer to the camera, we're going to use this tool down here, maintain size. So what that does is it's just like the move tool, except when I move it closer to the camera, it keeps the same size, but we can see from our top view that it's closer to the camera. So to illustrate, I'm going to grab my camera, turn my animate button back on, I'm going to grab my translate tool, and I'm going to move my camera into my scene. And you'll see my bushes move faster than the background, creating this really cool parallax effect. So just like before, I'm going to add a keyframe to the end and a keyframe to the beginning on my camera peg, and I'm going to start my camera pushed in a bit. And then I'll click my first keyframe and I'll set this S-curve easing onto it so it's not so linear. And when we play it, we have a nice little zoom out on our animation. Pretty cool. So now that we have a finished animation with a camera move, let's learn how to export this as a video so we can upload it.